David and Barbara recently got engaged, and now they want to buy their first dream home in London. But it's not easy.
I think it's been about, we've been on this since March, really looking into houses. Took a break around summer. I would say we probably have seen about just over 80 to 100 properties so far.
They're looking for a two-bedroom home in Putney, south of London. The average price of a London home is $635,000, and a large deposit is needed, making buying a home out of reach for many.
The prices were so high, the amounts that we'd have to put down were so much that we just couldn't bear it.
Across the UK, high costs and limited availability are frustrating millennials attempting to get their foot on the property ladder. But Chancellor Philip Hammond used his budget to lure back young voters who have recently been deserting the Conservative Party.
Building the homes that will make good on our promise to the next generation, but crucially, also helping families to cope with the cost of living.
Hammond announced plans to provide $59 billion of capital funding to boost construction, build 300,000 new homes per year in England, and cut the stamp duty for first-time buyers. All in an effort to increase home ownership, but some experts say reducing the stamp duty is only part of the solution.
It's not a silver bullet. It won't fundamentally change the housing market, but it should help activity today, and it should help some buyers who are on the margins who can't quite afford to buy with that last little bit of extra saving.
Stamp duty is widely seen as an outdated levy on property purchases and is blamed for dragging the housing market. David and Barbara are pleased it's being reduced.
I think it will help buyers. I think it'll help people have more capital to be able to put down on their deposit and spend on things that are real and hold their value, rather than a once-off stamp duty that you pay and then you never see that money again.
They've just put an offer on a two-bedroom home and are waiting to find out if it beat out the competition.
That's perhaps my dream. I want to get married and live in a house that's going to be mine and just start my family from there.
Along with many other aspiring homeowners, Barbara and David are hoping these budget measures will help them achieve their dream. Kristina Partsinevelos, TRT World, London.
Let's go to London now, and joining me from there is Jasmine Birtles. She's a personal finance expert and a well-known British TV and radio personality. Jasmine, great to have you on Money Talks once again. What were the main highlights of Chancellor Hammond's budget for you?
Well, as you say, it was the stamp duty. This is all part of Hammond's attempt, in fact, the Tory party's, the Conservative Party's attempt to win back the young voter. The young voters have left in droves, very largely because they haven't got a good way to buy a house that they can afford, and even their rent has gone up. So he announced a raft of measures that he's going to implement to help free up some property, to make people build more and therefore increase the housing stock, which should bring down the price of housing in this country, which, as your report showed, is quite extreme now.
Let's look at the housing market. Now, the OBR, the Office of Budget Responsibility, says reducing stamp duty will simply inflate housing prices all over again and lead to higher inflation for the country as a whole. How is Chancellor Hammond going to square that particular circle?
Well, very good point. And this is what millennials are already saying. They're saying, yeah, nice to be given a little bit off the stamp duty, but firstly, that's going to increase the price overall of housing in this country. And also, they're saying it still doesn't help with the enormous deposit that they have to find. On average, in London, certainly, the average deposit they have to find is about £37,000. That's about $45,000. That's a huge amount of money. So for millennials, again, I think this budget's been a little bit of a damp squib. It seemed like a really good idea to start off with, but just a half an hour or so later, millennials were already saying, big deal.
Well, that's a very good point, and it actually leads me to my next question, because a lot of millennials are actually saying they don't really want to own property. They don't even want to own cars or furniture or stuff like that. Is the government barking up the wrong tree here? Should they instead be trying to stimulate the economy in many other ways and make things more affordable in other ways?
Well, I think you've got a very good point there. Yes, certainly he has tried to make some, to give some help to businesses, particularly small businesses. He mentioned quite decent investment into technology companies, electric cars, this sort of thing. He's removing some of the horrible business rates that have harmed quite a lot of companies, small businesses, particularly retail especially. But really, I think something that I would like to hear from this government is rent controls. Because, as you say, a lot of millennials like to rent. A lot of people really like to rent and rent all sorts of things, including their own home. But in this country, there aren't rent controls if you are renting privately. If you're in the if you're renting from the council, there are controls. But a lot of people rent privately, and much of the time that's stopping them save for a house if they want to, because they are so high, the rents are so high.
Jasmine Birtles, personal finance expert, thank you ever so much for your time.